Imagine a world where genius knew no boundaries, where one man's insatiable curiosity broke the mold of what it meant to be human. Today, we embark on the extraordinary journey through the life of Leonardo da Vinci, a painter, inventor, scientist, and visionary whose legacy continues to shape our world centuries later. If you've ever wondered how a single person could master so many disciplines, or how raw passion can ignite world-changing innovation, you won't want to miss this series. Before we dive deeper into the awe-inspiring story of Leonardo, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and tap the notification bell so you'll be the first to follow every chapter of this remarkable life. Share in the comments. What's one thing you wish you could master like Leonardo? Your inspiration could spark someone else's genius. Let's journey together into the mind of a true Renaissance legend. Imagine a quiet Tuscan village in 1452, where a child was born under a swirling sky that seemed to whisper of greatness yet to come. This child, Leonardo, would grow to embody the very essence of curiosity, creativity, and relentless pursuit of knowledge. From the moment he first dipped the brush into paint or sketched a curious bird in flight, there was an unmistakable spark, an insatiable desire to understand the world in all its complexity. Leonardo's story begins in the modest town of Vinci, near Florence, where he was born out of wedlock to a notary and a peasant woman. Yet, his beginnings could not restrain his extraordinary spirit. As a boy, he wandered the rolling hills, fascinated by nature's designs, the way water flowed, how birds soared, and how light caressed the landscape. Before long, his gifted hands found their way into the bustling workshops of Florence, where he came under the wing of Andrea del Verrocchio, a master artist whose studio was a treasure trove of innovation. In Verrocchio's vibrant environment, Leonardo soaked up the art of observation, the delicate balance of shade and light, and the secrets of anatomy that bypassed mere imitation to capture life itself on canvas. His notebooks became repositories of endless inquiry filled, not only with sketches of human anatomy, but diagrams of flying machines, studies of water turbulence, and formulas that hinted at the mechanics beneath the visible world. But Leonardo was no mere artist. He was a pioneer who saw no borders between disciplines. His curiosity spanned painting, sculpture, engineering, anatomy, botany, and music. Every challenge laid before him as a problem to solve, an opportunity to push the limits of what was possible. He sketched designs for bridges, weaponry, and even devices centuries ahead of his time, such as a parachute and armored tanks. What makes Leonardo's life profoundly inspiring is not just his genius, but the relentless spirit that fueled it. He worked tirelessly, often leaving unfinished projects or scattered notebooks, a testament to a mind that leapt from one grand idea to the next, never content with what, always hungry for what could be. His life teaches us that creativity is boundless, and that innovation blossoms in the fertile ground of curiosity and perseverance. As we set forth on this journey into Leonardo's world, prepare to witness the transformation of a curious boy into a visionary whose legacy continues to ignite the flames of inspiration. Stay with me and discover the wonders of a life lived at the intersection of art and science, imagination and reality. As Leonardo's youth gave way to young adulthood, the bustling streets of Florence became the backdrop for his restless mind and nimble hands. Within the city's maze of stone buildings and echoing piazzas, Leonardo's artistic journey took on new momentum. Each day, as dawn's pale light slipped over the Arno River, he was already awake, eyes alight with the hunger of learning. While most young men of his age might have settled into a trade or followed the familiar paths of their fathers, Leonardo yearned for more, for the uncharted, the unexplained, the magnificently complex. He thrived in Verrocchio's workshop, a place where pigments blended with the hum of inventiveness and intellectual camaraderie. Here, marble dust drifted in golden beams of light, and the scent of linseed oil mingled with spirited conversation. Apprentices labored over commissions, repairing statues, preparing canvases, and mixing paints in hues that seemed as infinite as the Tuscan hills. Leonardo, attentive and imaginative, quickly distinguished himself with an uncanny ability to see what others missed. Verrocchio entrusted him with more responsibilities, allowing him to contribute details to larger pieces, to perfect the play of light and shadow, and to infuse draperies with a softness that spoke of real flesh and fabric. It was in this lively realm that the seeds of greatness took root. Leonardo observed Verrocchio painting the baptism of Christ, and, upon being given a section of the canvas to complete, Leonardo's angel radiated a softness and realism that outshone the work of his master. The legend endures. Upon seeing this, Verrocchio is said to have put down his brush, realizing his student had surpassed him. Whether or not this story is literally true matters little. What it reveals is a deeper truth about Leonardo's ascent, the relentless evolution of his craft, and the humility and grace with which he inspired those around him. But for Leonardo, the act of creation was never simply about fulfilling a commission or outshining a mentor. It was pursuit of truth verita made visible through brush, chisel, and quill. His notebooks, bursting with sepia sketches and looping mirror-written scripts, became both confidants and companions. In these pages, he dissected the mysteries of muscle and bone by candlelight, drawing comparisons between the curves of a river and the flow of blood through arteries. Each observation was a testament to his belief that nature was the greatest teacher of all. Yet the world of Renaissance Florence, as stimulating as it was, could not contain Leonardo's expanding ambitions. Commissions came: altarpieces, portraits, inventive designs for entertainments at ducal courts, and each tested his ingenuity. His celebrated work, Annunciation, came alive with a young Madonna, whom he painted with a serenity and humanity rarely seen in religious art. In Ginevra de' Benci, Leonardo's delicate brushwork and atmospheric landscapes marked an evolution in his portrayal of the human soul. Yet, as always, his work was as much about exploration as completion. He experimented with oil glazes, atmospheric perspective, and anatomical accuracy, often fraying the patience of patrons awaiting finished pieces. Outside the studio, Florence seethed with new ideas. The city's universities, libraries, and salons drew the brightest minds, poets, mathematicians, philosophers, all eager to shape a society on the cusp of modernity. Where others saw barriers between art and science, Leonardo saw only opportunities for dialogue. He delighted in questions more than answers. How did the wings of a bird generate flight? What subtle mechanics powered the gears of clocks and mills? In pursuit, he dissected cadavers in act, considered both illegal and heretical, to sketch muscle, tendon, and organ with startling detail and empathy. For each puzzle he unraveled, new mysteries beckoned. He built wooden models of flying machines, inspired by bats and birds, charted the flow of air, and contemplated the mathematics of beauty in the proportions of the human face. These efforts were not always greeted with understanding. Sometimes he was dismissed as a dreamer, or even an oddity, treading a solitary path. Yet in his solitude, he found a freedom, a chance to invent, to dream, and to imagine what the world could become if people dared to look beyond tradition. Increasingly, Leonardo's reputation spread. The Medici family, Florence's powerful patrons of the arts, recognized his gifts. Courtiers, scholars, and statesmen sought his counsel, for he seemed as capable with a lute or a riddle as with a brush. He was invited to design fantastical pageants and elaborate theatrical sets, infusing the festivities with a sense of wonder that lingered long after the last echo faded through the marble halls. In these amusements, he hid clever inventions, moving stages, costumes with mechanical wings, even illusions of flight that thrilled and confounded spectators. Yet, even as fame grew, Leonardo remained haunted by uncertainty. He was notorious for starting works and leaving them unfinished, moving to new challenges before the last detail had been captured. Some say it was perfectionism, his unwillingness to let anything leave his hand before it truly satisfied his artistic and scientific ideals. Others claim it was the inevitable result of a mind that could never be stilled, whose breadth made impossible the full realization of every vision. Either way, these unfinished pieces, like the Adoration of the Magi, which he abandoned before completion, stood as reminders of both the extraordinary and restless nature of his genius. Despite setbacks, Leonardo's pursuit of holistic understanding never faltered. He filled his journals with sketches of human heads juxtaposed with plans for war machines, delicate renderings of flowers beside notes on fluid dynamics. In 1482, sensing that Florence's walls could no longer enclose his ambitions, he wrote a famous letter to Ludovico Sforza, the powerful Duke of Milan. In it, Leonardo presented himself as not just an artist, but an engineer, architect, and inventor, promising to design everything from bridges and cannons to water supply systems and breathtaking artworks. I can construct bridges. I can make covered chariots, safe and unassailable, which penetrate the ranks of the enemy with their artillery. Also, I believe I can give perfect satisfaction to your excellency in the field of painting and sculpture. The letter was as bold as its author, and it worked. The Duke invited Leonardo to Milan, a city whose splendor rivaled Florence, and whose ambitions aligned perfectly with those of a man unbound by convention. Milan awaited, brimming with promise, a place where the Renaissance was transforming thought, architecture, and daily life. As Leonardo prepared for this pivotal move, he looked both backward and forward, aware that every chapter thus far was but a prelude to greater things. His years in Florence had chiseled not only his skills, but also his philosophy, one rooted in boundless curiosity, relentless observation, and the belief that the world was an endlessly open book for those who would only dare to read it. So Leonardo da Vinci left behind the city that had shaped his youth, ready to reinvent himself in the courts of Milan, not as a mere painter, but as a master of machines, architecture, music, and of the very secrets that stitched the universe together. His journey was just unfolding, and with every step, new doors to wonder and understanding opened before him. Leonardo's arrival in Milan marked a transformative moment, both for the city and for the man himself. Milan, a booming metropolis at the heart of Renaissance innovation and commerce, hungry for grandeur and military prowess, was an ideal stage for Leonardo's myriad talents to flourish. Ludovico Sforza, the ambitious duke known as Il Moro, recognized immediately the value of a polymath who could advance his court's prestige not just through exquisite art, but through groundbreaking engineering and design. Upon setting foot in the ducal palace, Leonardo found a place teeming with opportunity and challenge. Milan was no longer simply a city of refined artisans and scholars. It was a locus of political power, military tension, and architectural ambition. The Duke sought to fortify his domain, impress his allies, and outshine rivals. Leonardo's genius was to address these ambitions holistically. By creating war machines, redirecting rivers, designing grand spectacles, and crafting masterpieces of visual beauty, he sought to marry function and art into a visionary new Renaissance ideal. The years Leonardo spent under Ludovico Sforza's patronage would prove to be some of the most fertile in his life. Here, he designed ingenious military devices such as catapults, capable of launching heavy projectiles, multi-barreled cannons, and even conceptual armored vehicles that resembled mechanical tanks. His notebooks from this time reveal meticulously detailed plans, complete with annotations on materials, engineering principles, and tactical deployment. Although some of these inventions were never realized due to technical or political constraints, they showcased a mind centuries ahead in warfare design. But Leonardo's mind was not confined to the battleground. He took on architectural projects that aimed to reshape Milan's urban landscape. Proposals for canals to improve trade and irrigation reflect his deep understanding of hydraulics. Records show he devised plans to rehabilitate and redirect the waters of the river Adda, presenting elegant solutions to flooding and water supply that balanced utility with an artist's sensitivity to natural forms. While engineering occupied much of his daytime, Leonardo's creativity overflowed into the realms of theater and pageantry. Milanese court festivities under Ludovico became legendary, thanks largely to Leonardo's involvement. He crafted elaborate stage designs that incorporated hidden machinery to create optical illusions, moving sets, and even mechanical animals to amaze and delight spectators. These theatrical inventions were not mere entertainment. They demonstrated his ability to manipulate perspective, light, and movement, principles that also informed his painting and sculpture. Speaking of painting, even amidst engineering feats, Leonardo's brush continued to weave wonders. It was during this Milan period that he created The Last Supper, arguably one of his most celebrated and studied works. Painted directly onto the refectory wall of the convent of Santa Maria del Grazie, Leonardo's depiction of Christ's final meal with his disciples broke new ground in composition, emotion, and technique. The painting captures the moment of revelation and shock, each apostle's reaction distinct, his gestures choreographed to tell a complex story. The work's innovative use of perspective draws the viewer into the scene, inviting participation in the drama unfolding. The Last Supper was not without its technical challenges. Leonardo experimented with a novel painting method, using tempera and oil on dry plaster rather than traditional fresco on wet plaster to achieve greater detail and vibrancy. Unfortunately, this technique also led to rapid deterioration, and the masterpiece has undergone many restorations. Still, the painting's impact on art history remains profound, influencing countless artists in subsequent centuries. Leonardo's time in Milan was also marked by a continuous study of anatomy and the natural world. His inquisitiveness led him to perform dissections under carefully concealed circumstances, producing anatomical drawings of remarkable accuracy and insight. These studies fed into his artistic depictions as he sought to represent the human body with scientific precision, while still preserving the grace and vitality that made it expressive. Beyond the scientific and artistic, Leonardo's fascination with flight intensified during this period. Inspired by his lifelong observations of birds and bats, he developed numerous flying machine designs, including ornithopters, machines meant to fly by mimicking wing flapping, and parachute prototypes. Though none achieved practical flight, the detailed sketches and mechanical analyses laid the groundwork for aerodynamics centuries later. Yet, life in Milan was not without its uncertainties and setbacks. Politics in Renaissance Italy were volatile, and alliances shifted like sand. In 1499, when the French invaded Milan, Ludovico Sforza's reign collapsed, forcing Leonardo to flee. This upheaval marked the end of a significant chapter in his career, but also set the stage for new adventures. In summary, Leonardo's Milanese years were a tapestry of innovation, artistry, and intellectual daring. His legacy during this era is distinguished not solely by completed works, but by the sheer ambition that drove him to explore realms far beyond the known boundaries of his time. From intricate war machines to transcendent art, from architectural vision to the dream of flight, Leonardo's Milan period stands as a testament to the Renaissance ideal of boundless curiosity and the unification of knowledge. Leonardo's departure from Milan in the wake of the French invasion in 1499 was a profound turning point, a moment that forced reflection, reinvention, and a renewed quest for opportunity. As the political winds shifted, Leonardo found himself navigating the tumultuous landscape of Renaissance Italy, seeking patrons who could nourish his restless genius and embrace the full breadth of his vision. This phase of his life was characterized not just by artistic triumphs, but also by deep intellectual exploration and the forging of connections that would leave an indelible mark on the world. After the fall of Ludovico Sforza, Leonardo traveled first to Venice and then to Florence, where he returned to familiar surroundings, yet found a city transformed. Florence remained a jewel of culture and commerce, but also a city rife with political intrigue and upheaval. Leonardo, ever the chameleon, adapted quickly. His reputation already glorified across Italy, he was welcomed as one of its greatest sons. Yet his restless mind saw opportunity beyond canvas and sculpture. It was a time to deepen his scientific inquiries and expand his involvement in practical engineering. Back in Florence, Leonardo was commissioned to paint one of the most enigmatic and captivating portraits in history, the Mona Lisa. This portrait remains a universal icon of mystery and beauty, infused with Leonardo's mastery of sfumato, the delicate gradation of tone and shadow that gives the sitter a lifelike presence and an elusive smile that captivates viewers centuries later. The Mona Lisa took years to complete as Leonardo continued to refine and revisit the painting, using his detailed understanding of anatomy, light, and perspective to create a composition that transcended typical portraiture, inviting an intimate connection and contemplation of the human soul. But beyond painting, Leonardo devoted much of this period to the study of natural phenomena. His notebooks from these years read like encyclopedias of the natural world. He meticulously documented the patterns of water as it curved and swirled, understanding how vortices formed and dissipated. His fascination with hydraulics led him to propose innovative canal systems that could control floods, irrigate fields, and power mills, all with an eye toward harmonizing human engineering and nature's rhythms. Among Leonardo's most challenging and visionary projects was his involvement in plans to divert the Arno River. Though this project was never fully realized, it underscored his commitment to practical engineering solutions that could benefit entire communities. He envisioned cities shaped not only by art and architecture, but by dynamic systems that integrated water, terrain, and human activity, a proto-urban planner long before the field formally existed. During this time, Leonardo's anatomical studies reached unprecedented depths. Conducting dissections of human cadavers under the cover of darkness, he produced drawings of muscles, tendons, and organs rendered with astonishing accuracy and compassion. Unlike many of his contemporaries, Leonardo sought to understand not just external form, but the underlying functions and mechanics of the body. This holistic approach paved the way for later advances in biology and medicine. His Vitruvian Man, with its perfect proportions and harmony between geometry and the human form, stands as a symbol of the Renaissance belief in the unity of science and art, body and spirit. Leonardo's ingenuity was not limited to the earthly realm. His fascination with flight persisted. He continued refining designs for flying machines, studying the anatomy of birds in flight, and analyzing the principles of aerodynamics. His sketches include detailed mechanical wings designed to mimic the flapping of birds, and even a concept for a glider capable of sustained flight. Though these visions remained unrealized in his lifetime, they reveal a mind constantly pushing forward, imagining the possibilities of human achievement. Beyond science and art, Leonardo had a complex personality that combined charm, humility, and at times deep introspection. His relationships with patrons and contemporaries were mixed. Some found him enigmatic and difficult due to his perfectionism and tendency towards procrastination, while others were utterly captivated by his vision and generosity. His notebooks reveal moments of self-doubt and philosophical musing, probing the nature of existence, creativity, and the divine order of the cosmos. It was this profound curiosity and introspection that set Leonardo apart as not only a master of technique, but a seeker of meaning. In the political sphere, Leonardo's versatility allowed him to serve various rulers and states through an array of projects, from military engineering to artistic commissions to diplomatic roles. His skill in designing fortifications made him a valuable asset amidst the endemic warfare among Italian city-states and foreign powers. Records show he consulted on defensive structures and siege weaponry, always balancing technical acumen with an understanding of the human cost of conflict. The dawn of the 16th century found Leonardo journeying once again, this time to Rome, a city at the zenith of Renaissance culture and power under the papacy. Here, he worked under the patronage of Pope Leo X, a Medici pope who recognized Leonardo's unmatched talents. Although the commissions that Leonardo received in Rome were fewer and less centralized than in previous courts, the exposure to the leading scholars, architects, and artists deepened his engagement with emerging scientific and artistic theories. Amid the grandeur of Rome, however, Leonardo increasingly encountered limitations, both physical and political. His advancing age, coupled with the intricacies of court politics and shifting priorities, meant that many of his ambitious projects remained unrealized or incomplete. Yet rather than diminishing, Leonardo's intellectual pursuits flourished. He continued to sketch, invent, and observe with the same vigor that had marked his youth. Perhaps most impressively, Leonardo maintained a holistic vision throughout these decades. He saw art and science as inextricably linked, the study of one enriching understanding of the other. His anatomical drawings enhanced his artistic portrayals. His observations of nature informed his engineering designs. His experiments with light deepened the depth and realism of his paintings. This integrated approach to knowledge has inspired generations of scholars and artists who view interdisciplinary inquiry as essential to innovation. Eventually, Leonardo moved to France, accepted into the court of King Francis I, who offered him the title of premier painter and engineer and architect to the king. It was here, in the final years of his life, that Leonardo enjoyed the respect and honor befitting his monumental contributions. Living at the Château du Clos-Luz, near the royal palace, he continued to advise on engineering, architecture, and art until his death in 1519. Leonardo da Vinci's life is a vivid testament to the boundless possibilities that curiosity and dedication can unlock. His legacy endures not only in masterpieces like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, but in a sweeping vision that embraces the fullness of human potential, where art and science, imagination and observation merge to create new worlds. He teaches us that to live fully is to remain forever a student of life, to wonder ceaselessly, and to relentlessly pursue the unknown with passion and humility. The small French town of Amboise, nestled on the banks of the Loire, became the last chapter of Leonardo da Vinci's unparalleled life, a sanctuary where years of travel, inquiry, triumph, and disappointment came together in a grand synthesis. Arriving in France around 1516 as an honored guest of King Francis I, Leonardo brought with him not only a reputation forged through decades of creativity, but also an undiminished thirst for discovery. Despite advancing age and the challenges of declining health, he remained the embodiment of restless curiosity. The Château du Clos-Luz, Leonardo's residence gifted by the king, provided an idyllic and tranquil environment to reflect and create. Surrounded by rolling gardens, the gentle hum of rivers, and the distant echoes of courtly grandeur, Leonardo found in France a patron who revered him not only for his artistry, but for his intellect and wisdom. Francis I, himself a lover of the arts, often visited Leonardo, seeking advice and conversation. Their exchanges, swirling with ideas about architecture, philosophy, engineering, and aesthetics, underscored how deeply the king regarded the elderly Italian as a national treasure and a guiding light. Despite physical limitations, his right hand weakened, likely by a stroke. Leonardo's mind remained razor-sharp. He continued writing and drawing left-handed, filling sheaves of paper with thoughts that spanned the cosmic and the minute. His rooms at Clos-Luz became both studio and laboratory, a place where young artists and thinkers visited to absorb the wisdom of a living legend, and where tools, sketches, anatomical models, and mechanical prototypes lay side by side, testifying to a lifetime's work. It was in these years that Leonardo revisited and synthesized everything he learned, revising old designs and contemplating new ones. He focused increasingly on theoretical projects, plans for vast city layouts integrating sanitation and elegant transportation, ambitious schemes for canal networks that would bind France's regions together, and gigantic bronze horse statues that echoed dreams begun in Milan but never completed. In every page, the theme of unity between human ingenuity and nature endured, a reflection of Leonardo's core belief that progress sprang from the harmonious union of science and art. One of Leonardo's most cherished responsibilities was to serve as the king's architectural and artistic consultant. The French court, enamored by the Italian Renaissance, eagerly embraced Leonardo's proposals for modernizing chateaux and fortifications. Though some projects were limited by the realities of construction, Leonardo's influence shaped the vision of a new, more enlightened France. His legacy in France was not just in sketches or blueprints, but in the fostering of an environment where invention and creativity were celebrated as national virtues. Leonardo's relationship with his students and assistants also deepened during these final years. Among them was Francesco Melzi, who became both confident and diligent executor of Leonardo's artistic estate. Melzi's devotion ensured that Leonardo's notebooks, filled with studies spanning engineering, physics, anatomy, and philosophy, survived to inspire future generations. Their mentorship was never merely technical. Leonardo instilled in his followers the same relentless spirit of inquiry that had defined his entire life. Despite outward serenity, Leonardo's daily routine reflected ceaseless mental engagement. He pondered the movement of celestial bodies, sketched designs for mechanical lions capable of walking and opening their chests, and refined anatomical studies with precision far ahead of his time. In one notebook, he articulated observations about the heart's valves, prefiguring discoveries that would only be properly understood centuries later. He seemed to grasp intuitively the interconnectedness of all knowledge, whether manifested in the flight of a bird, the turbulence in a stream, or the angle of leaning towers. Leonardo corresponded with scholars across Europe, engaging in philosophical debate and sharing findings. Visitors marveled at the breadth of his conversations, on topics from the principles of fortification to the mathematical harmonies underlying art and nature. Even in his final years, he challenged assumptions, delighting in the contest of reason and the spark of discovery. His home was alive with laughter, discourse, and the persistent quiet of minds at work. In moments of solitude, Leonardo reflected on his own journey. There was always a tinge of melancholy, the unfinished quality of so many masterpieces, the inventions unrealized, the fleeting approval of princes. Yet he understood, perhaps more clearly than most, that perfection lay in striving, not arriving. The world changes because of those who persistently ask why, who dream beyond the possible, and who dedicate themselves to the noble labor of understanding. On May 2nd, 1519, Leonardo da Vinci passed away at Clos Lucy. The story persists, whether apocryphal or true, that he died in the arms of King Francis I, a final gesture of respect from a monarch to his mentor, and from civilization to one of its brightest beacons. With his passing, the world lost not only an artist of unprecedented genius, but a philosopher, inventor, scientist, and humanist whose contributions transcended any single domain. His death was only the beginning of his influence. The thousands of pages of notebooks he left behind, filled with anatomical diagrams, flights of fancy, mechanical sketches, and philosophical meditations, would trickle into the wider world, igniting creativity wherever they arrived. Artists, engineers, doctors, architects, all have claimed Leonardo as a father, a model, or an inspiration. From the soaring domes of cathedrals, the bridges that link continents, the intricate workings of the human body, to the first tentative steps of flight, Leonardo's visions cast a shadow that made the future possible. What elevates Leonardo da Vinci's story is not just the brilliance of his mind, but the courage it took to pursue knowledge In an age rife with superstition and constraint, the willingness to risk censure for the sake of discovery, the humility to apprentice anew when a master was surpassed, and the generosity to share insights with a world that often could not fully understand them. His lesson for us is timeless. To be inspired by Leonardo is to follow questions wherever they may lead, to embrace failure as a sign of daring, and to find wonder even in the most ordinary things. The Renaissance is not just a period of history. It remains a call to each of us to connect disciplines, to value imagination, and to believe that curiosity is the greatest tool for human progress. Centuries have passed since he walked among us, but in every sketch that captures the movement of life, in every equation that unlocks a mystery of nature, and in every act of imagination that bridges what is with what could be, Leonardo da Vinci's legacy endures, an eternal challenge to dream, to heal, to build, and to see the world not as it is, but as it might become. Leonardo da Vinci's legacy is woven through centuries like an intricate tapestry, each thread a testament to his extraordinary vision, unquenchable curiosity, and the profound impact he made not only in the world of art, but across the vast landscape of human knowledge. As we continue to explore the long-lasting influence of this towering figure, it becomes clear that Leonardo's story is not just one of personal genius, but also a masterclass in the power of interdisciplinary thinking and the relentless pursuit of understanding. After Leonardo's passing in 1519, the immediate fate of his artworks and notebooks was uncertain. Many of his manuscripts were dispersed among patrons, collectors, and students. Francesco Melzi, his devoted pupil, carefully safeguarded much of Leonardo's collection, recognizing the value far beyond their time. Yet for decades, much of the content lay unpublished, and at times incomprehensible to earlier readers, due to Leonardo's unique mirror writing and dense mixture of art, science, and philosophy. It would take centuries for scholars to truly decipher and appreciate the depth of his insights. One of Leonardo's most significant contributions to humanity is his approach, a seamless blending of observation, hypothesis, and creative experimentation. At a time when many clung to dogma and rigid tradition, Leonardo embraced doubt and inquiry. His meticulous anatomical drawings, for example, were unlike any before them. By dissecting human bodies and observing each muscle, tendon, and bone, he shattered misconceptions and enriched not only artistic representation, but the foundation of medical knowledge. His notes anticipated many discoveries that would only be scientifically confirmed with the advent of modern medicine and technology. Leonardo's spirit of innovation extended into engineering and mechanics. His notebooks contain early conceptualizations of machines that wouldn't be realized until centuries later, a testament to his visionary capacity. Ideas for helicopters, armored vehicles, calculating devices, and even concentrated solar power show incredible foresight and the ability to see beyond the limitations of his own time. While many of these designs were never built, they planted seeds for future inventors and engineers, demonstrating that imagination paired with methodical reasoning can propel technological advancement. But the heart of Leonardo's genius arguably lies in his philosophy of unity, the belief that no discipline exists in isolation, and that the pursuit of knowledge is an integrated journey. His famous Vitruvian Man exemplifies this belief, embodying the harmony of proportion, geometry, human anatomy, and cosmic order. To Leonardo, the study of the human body was a chapter in the broader narrative of universal laws governing nature, art, and even the heavens. This interdisciplinary mindset inspired the Renaissance ideal and laid groundwork for modern scientific thinking. Throughout history, Leonardo has been revered by artists, scientists, and thinkers alike as an exemplar of creative brilliance and intellectual freedom. From Michelangelo to modern pioneers like Albert Einstein and Steve Jobs, his legacy underscores that innovation often arises at the crossroads of disciplines and fueled by a profound hunger to understand the why behind phenomena and patterns. Educational institutions have long revered Leonardo as a model polymath. His life challenges contemporary education systems to encourage curiosity and creativity alongside specialization, to cultivate hearts and minds that question and explore rather than memorize and repeat. In arts and sciences, Leonardo stands as the enduring symbol of what it means to learn through doing, to let imagination dance freely with empirical evidence, and to seek beauty intertwined with truth. In the arts, Leonardo's techniques and compositions reshaped aesthetics. His use of sfumato, the subtle gradation of tones to mimic the vagueness of human vision, added a revolutionary softness and realism to portraiture. His compositions, whether in religious scenes or human portraits, brought emotional depth and psychological complexity that transformed portraiture into a window onto the soul. Artists across centuries have studied and emulated his methods to capture more than just form, to capture essence. Leonardo's influence also pervades modern culture. From museums dedicated to his work, exhibitions showcasing his manuscripts, to films, literature, and even music inspired by his life, he remains a wellspring of inspiration. Popular imagination often portrays him not just as an artist or inventor, but as the archetype of the Renaissance man, someone who defies categorization because of their boundless intellect and creativity. Yet, beyond his public achievements, Leonardo's story is deeply human. His notebooks reveal self-reflection, moments of doubt, joyous discovery, and a restless desire always to improve. Rather than a flawless genius, he emerges as a model of persistence, reinvention, and the courage to pursue what interests him deeply, even when the world does not immediately comprehend or reward his efforts. As we look to apply Leonardo's lessons today, the world grapples with complex, interdisciplinary challenges, from climate change and medicine to technology and the arts, that demand the same integrative thinking he modeled. His legacy sparks the call for collaborative innovation, humility before nature's mysteries, and the courage to experiment without fear of failure. Inspiring thousands of modern initiatives, from STEAM education, which integrates science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, to makerspaces, innovation hubs, and design thinking workshops. Leonardo's life and work embody the essence of lifelong learning and the transformative power of curiosity unleashed. Thus, the story of Leonardo da Vinci is not confined to the annals of history or art museums. It is alive, a living dialogue between past and future, calling each of us to cultivate our curiosity, to blend disciplines bravely, and to dream with a dedication that transcends fear and complacency. His message speaks across the ages, to embrace the unknown, to pursue excellence with humility, and to view every challenge as an opportunity to unlock new potential. As we conclude this part of Leonardo's inspiring saga, remember that his life is an invitation to explore boldly, to connect widely, and to imagine endlessly. The Renaissance he ignited burns within all who dare to think, create, and transform. Leonardo da Vinci's story, as vast and intricate as the Renaissance itself, culminates in a profound legacy that continues to inspire countless realms of human endeavor to this very day. As we embark on this final extended exploration, we delve deeper into the enduring echoes of his genius, how his innovations, philosophies, and boundless creativity shaped not only his own era, but cast a perpetual light on the centuries that followed. At the heart of Leonardo's timeless influence is a spirit of integration, an unrelenting quest not simply for isolated knowledge, but for the unification of disciplines that others kept compartmentalized. He saw no division between art and science, imagination and empirical observation, creativity and rigor. This holistic vision was radical in an epoch too often bound by rigid scholastic hierarchies, yet it became a foundation for modern inquiry, championing the idea that all knowledge is interconnected and that breakthroughs often happen at the meeting points of different fields. One of the most illustrative examples of this approach is Leonardo's anatomical studies. far beyond the mere replication of the human form for artistic purposes. His dissection and meticulous documentation of bones, muscles, organs, and the vascular system bordered on biology and physiology. At a time when medical knowledge was still entangled in myths and inaccuracies, Leonardo's drawings anticipated discoveries that only centuries later would be fully understood. His detailed renderings of the heart's ventricles and valves, the mechanics of the eye, and the structure of the fetus within the womb reveal an almost uncanny grasp of biology that transcended the prevailing medical paradigms. Leonardo's anatomical work was not just science, but art, representing living tissue with such precision, light, and shadow that these images resonate with vitality still seen today. He viewed the human body not merely as a subject of study, but as a reflection of divine proportion and universal harmony. This invitation to see the microcosm of the human form as a mirror of the macrocosm of the universe showcased his belief in a cosmos held together by intricate yet elegant laws. Parallel to his mastery of biology, Leonardo's mechanical inventions and engineering sketches exemplify a visionary mind decades, sometimes centuries ahead of his time. Embedded within his voluminous notebooks are conceptual prototypes, remarkable ideas that would only be realized long after his death. Ideas such as aerial screws foreshadow the helicopter, intricate gear trains anticipate the mechanical clockworks, and even analog computers. His designs for water-lifting devices, revolving bridges, and ideal war machines expressed both creativity and practicality, displaying a deep understanding of physics and materials, fused with artistic sensibility. The underlying principle in these creations was Leonardo's fascination with movement, fluid dynamics, the flight of birds, the flow of rivers, and the mechanics of muscles. He approached every challenge with a question, an experiment, a hypothesis. Leonardo's method was empirical and iterative, akin to the modern scientific method, built on observation, drawing detailed conclusions, and testing theories. It is this approach that distinguishes him not just as an artist or inventor, but as a forerunner of modern science. Leonardo's contributions to the arts also speak volumes about his genius and influence. His revolutionary techniques, such as sfumato, which allows tones and colors to gradually blend without harsh lines, added a lifelike softness and subtlety to portraits, transforming how emotion and personality were captured on canvas. Moreover, his groundbreaking use of perspective, light, and composition created artworks that seemed to breathe with internal narrative and psychological complexity. Paintings like the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper are not just images. They are immersive stories that invite viewers into a moment of spiritual, emotional, and intellectual engagement. The mysterious, enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa, for instance, has sparked endless debate and fascination. This smile, a subtle blend of joy, melancholy, and serene mystery, is deeply tied to Leonardo's mastery of human anatomy and his understanding of the nuances of human expression and perception. Viewers sense this complexity intuitively, attesting to his success in merging technical skill with a profound engagement with the human condition. Beyond specific achievements, Leonardo's life exemplifies the Renaissance ideal of the polymath, a model of multifaceted talent and relentless curiosity. His notebooks, overflowing with sketches, diagrams, explanatory notes, and coded reflections, reveal a mind that never ceased to wonder. From music and hydraulics to architecture and botany, from map-making to military science, Leonardo invested himself fully, following any path that sparked curiosity. Though many projects remained incomplete, an enduring feature of his restless intellect, this tendency highlights another crucial aspect of Leonardo's character: a perfectionism and boundless imagination that sought not only completion, but transcendence. His unfinished works serve as a testament to a mind ceaselessly reaching beyond what was already realized. They remind us that the journey of inquiry and creativity is ongoing, that knowledge is never static, and that pioneering intellects often push limits to the very edge. leaving open doors for others to follow. Leonardo's influence extends deeply into the cultural and intellectual fabric of the world. His multidisciplinary approach prefigured the rise of modern science, engineering, digital technology, and contemporary art. Educational systems aiming to cultivate creative critical thinkers regularly hold Leonardo's life and work as archetypes for interdisciplinary learning, problem-solving, and innovation. Institutions worldwide house his manuscripts, sculptures, and paintings, each one a wellspring of knowledge and inspiration. In broader culture, Leonardo has become a symbol of human potential, representing the ideal of the Renaissance man whose curiosity and genius know no bounds. He is celebrated not just for what he accomplished, but for how he approached life as a perpetual student of nature, art, and science alike. His story also embodies lessons around resilience, humility, and lifelong learning. Facing political upheavals, unfinished commissions, and the challenges of his time, Leonardo maintained a focus on discovery over acclaim, process over outcome. His humility shines through his notes and personal reflections. He recognized the vastness of the unknown and embraced it with fearless curiosity. Modern innovators and visionaries, from scientists unlocking DNA secrets to engineers devising sustainable technologies, from artists pushing new media boundaries to explorers probing space, draw inspiration from the synthesis and spirit of Leonardo's work. His message resonates with the idea that breakthroughs emerge when diverse knowledge is integrated, when observation is married to imagination, and when relentless questioning guides every endeavor. Today, as society navigates complex global challenges, climate change, global health crisis, technological ethics, the Leonardo paradigm remains potent. Build connections across knowledge domains, nurture creativity alongside analytical rigor, and approach problems with both wonder and discipline. Many educational programs, think tanks, and innovation hubs explicitly invoke Leonardo's legacy, encouraging an approach that balances science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics to foster holistic thinkers equipped for the world's complexities. In art, science, education, and innovation, Leonardo da Vinci's enduring legacy transcends his physical works. It lives on in the ongoing pursuit of knowledge, driven by passion, empathy, and discipline. His life reminds us that human potential expands not through specialization alone, but through embracing wonder, fostering curiosity, and passionately exploring the unknown. As you reflect on Leonardo's incomparable journey, from the vineyards of Vinci to the halls of Milan, Florence, Rome, and finally, the French court, remember that his greatest invention was a mindset, the belief that everything in the universe is connected, and that anyone willing to ask questions, observe deeply, and dare to dream can contribute meaningfully to the unfolding story of humanity. Now, as this extensive narration draws to a close, take with you the spirit of Leonardo da Vinci. Let it inspire you not only to master a craft, but to explore deeply, to combine disciplines bravely, and to perceive the world through a lens sharpened by both science and art. Leonardo's life is an eternal invitation to seize every moment with curiosity and courage, to pursue your questions with passion, and to contribute to the collective human adventure with generosity and persistence. Thank you for accompanying this journey through the life and legacy of one of history's greatest minds.